All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Ricky Brown again. This one is very important to me, and I would like everybody to pay attention to this one, if not any, because this one is in regards to DHS and how our Department of Human Services and Child Protective Services is not only harming people, but they're harming children, okay? Now, this is all based on reports I've been told by people, multiple people, not just one individual, and things I personally went with. Now, should it be legal for Department of Human Service workers or CPS employees to adopt children who they're overseeing, right? Who are in like foster care and things of that nature? Should they legally be able to adopt them? Well, there's nothing in the law that says they can't, right? But it is highly unethical, and this is per Wisconsin State Administrative Code MPSW 20.02. In reference to prohibited dual relationships. A worker acting on the state's behalf for a child's care and as a prospective foster parent is prohibited from a dual relationship. Okay, so the dual relationship is defined as, again, them working for the state, but also representing the child's best interest, right? And the reason they're prohibited from that dual relationship is due to conflict of interest. Now, this information is coming from the Washera County Code on their policies of conflict of interest. It's section 2-337 sub A says no official or employee shall engage in any business or transaction or shall act in regard to financial or other personal interest, either direct or indirect, which is incompatible with the proper discharge of the official duties in the public interest, contrary to the provisions of this code, or would tend to impair independence of judgment or action in performance of the official duties. Okay? So think about this. If there's a DHS employee or a CPS employee or a DCFS employee, and they're acting in the best interest of this child, right? They're his representative. They're the child's representative. And then they make a move to adopt that child, they are now in a position to affect how the court proceeds moving forward, because they have a personal relationship with the court, they have a personal relationship with their supervisor, they have a personal relationship with everybody who's involved in the decision-making process in this case, or in this scenario, right? So if we take that and we go back to the prohibited dual relationships, this is from the Washera County and Wisconsin administrative codes and county policies. Washera County is subject to the state codes regarding dual relationships that impair objectivity or create conflict of interest. Well, it's a direct conflict of interest for a DHS employee, CPS, DCFS, anybody to represent the child and then seek an adoption placement with them. And I'll tell you why. It's a direct interest because, or a conflict of interest because, as I said, it can affect the judgment and the outcome of the case because they're tied in, they're employees, right, of the same system that they're seeking to utilize to their advantage. Their advantage is this. They stand to make financial gain, okay? Some of them might be all, altruistic and above board and just want to do the right thing, but not when they're doing things like not actually fleshing out the details of the reports they're making, and they're just making reports to say, oh, this parent is unfit and they don't deserve to have their child is unsafe being there, without ever having gone to the place and doing an assessment on the place they're saying is unsafe, right? Or doing shit like, I have a family member who lost custody of one of their children for a while because there was a domestic incident several days prior and somebody had called the police. An ex called the police and they got involved, and there was never any charges filed. Nobody ever went to jail. It was literally a, hey, what's going on type thing, right? Well, due to the fact that the person they were with was a convicted felon, the cops tried to lean on him and said, hey, we'll make this go away if you just help us out. And he's like, I'm not going to do that, because he was still kind of had a criminal mentality at the time, but they no longer operate that way, right? So then CPS showed up at their house. The man was drinking a beer in a Quick Trip cup while he was mowing his lawn. They said that proved an unfit or unsafe environment, and they immediately took the child from that family, placed him in foster care, and it was about 9 months to a year before that family got their child back, right? And it was completely disgusting that they did so. Because while the child was in foster care, the foster mother was running bullshit through the kid's head, telling them your mom doesn't love you, your dad doesn't love you, that's why you're here. You need to be a part of us and not a part of them, right? Playing with the kid's mind. But back to the financial gain. So foster parents in the state of Wisconsin, and this information is per the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families, right? You can look it up on the website. They receive a non-taxable stipend of between $384 and over $586 for teenagers, right? There's actually an age bracket. There's a rate of how this works with ages. It goes age-based rates, 0 to 4 years old is $452 a month. 5 to 11 years old is $495 a month. 12 to 14 years old is $562 a month. And 15 to 18 years old is $586 a month. They can also receive supplemental payments of $300+ per month for specialized care. An example of that would be like behavioral, emotional, or physical needs like treatment, right? Obviously, if the kid's in foster care, they got things going on, they're going to stick them in treatment. So then they're automatically eligible for that extra $300 a month. If you're paying attention to the math, that's anywhere from a minimum of an additional $750 to right about $1,000 that goes into this person's pocket who works for the county, who is attempting to who may possibly be attempting to effect an adoption on a child that they're supposed to be overseeing and looking out for their best interest. Yet here we show they have $1,000 riding on it. If they get the adoption, they not only get this monthly stipend that's non-taxable, they can apply for this additional funding that they will in fact get because they know how to work the system. They are a part of the system for between $750 and $1,000 a month, extra money. On top of that, they'll get food share, badger care, things of that nature, right? So they're a money pit is what these kids are. And it's what's happening. So let me recap this real quick. Should it be legal? Should it be legal for a DHS or a CPS or a DCFS employee who's overseeing and facilitating an adoption or just the custody and placement of a child in the system? Should it be illegal for them to adopt that child? I don't think so. But per the law, it's not illegal, right? But according to Wisconsin administrative codes, which Sheriff County is subject to, and every county jurisdiction is subject to, they are not allowed to engage in prohibited dual relationships, which is a worker acting on state's behalf for the child's care and as a prospective foster parent, is a dual relationship. And that's per Wisconsin Administrative Code MPSW 20.02. Okay. Again, the Sheriff County conflict of interest policy from the Sheriff County website in the policies section is section 2-337 sub A. No official or employee shall engage in any business or transaction or shall, in regard to financial or other personal interest, either direct or indirect, which is incompatible with the proper discharge of the official duties in the public interest, contrary to the provision of this code, or would tend to impair independence of judgment or action and performance of the official duties. So if they stand to gain about $1,000 fucking extra dollars a month, I would say that impairs the judgment and performance of their duties because they're going to do whatever they can to facilitate their victory in this case. So I wanted to draw attention to this because DHS has personally affected my life negatively. And I hear from a lot of people that they're coming after them and they're doing a lot of the same things. People get involved, maybe drugs are involved or whatever. The cops lean on them and they say, hey, you're going to work with us. They refuse. They send CPS after you. And this is the scenario that happens. You want to talk about child trafficking with Epstein and all this other crap? Okay, it may not be at that level, but this is in fact removing children from their families in order for county employees to profit. This is something I'm absolutely going to dig into, and I'm going to file ROIs on this, and I hope people who watch this are willing to help me do that because we need to get to the bottom of this shit. This is completely unethical. It should be illegal, and they're harming children for their own personal benefit, for financial gain, for their own ego, and to maintain their power and influence and control in the positions they have that we allowed them to have. And it has to change. I hope everybody listens. I hope you're paying attention, and I hope you're just as mad as I am about this because this is completely ridiculous.